When they say sober-minded in the Bible, it's not talking about drugs as much as it's talking about being clear and sound-minded, able to see things for what they are, not what you want them to be or what somebody's portraying them to be. Ego and emotions go hand in hand. And emotions are impulsive, and they rule out logic. They rule out seeing things from a bigger perspective. They rule out patience. They rule out all the fruits of the spirit. So I'm not saying emotions are bad, because the Bible does tell you to grieve when it's time to grieve and laugh when it's time to laugh. But when you're not making sound judgments because you're angry, I tell you what, a man who smokes weed but has control over his emotions and doesn't let them determine bad things for him to do and go down wrong paths is way more sober-minded than a person who is not on any drugs, any alcohol, any nothing, but he's angry or he's letting depression drive him down a dark path. So you got to remember that when they say be sober-minded, it's not just about smoking weed or drinking or doing drugs. It's also about making sound decisions and having clarity. Food, the type of food that you eat, all that brain fog, all that social media scrolling, all the TV, all the gossip, all of that makes you not sober-minded, and that's where the devil come in and trick you way more than the blunt could. I'm not saying go smoke weed. I'm not saying don't smoke weed. I'm just saying just remember that next time you want to try to use that verse, remember a lot of you so-called Christians are not sober-minded because you're ruled by, well, he's a Democrat or he's gay or he's a Muslim, and you're ruled by hatred and bias and anger and jealousy and depression and lust. You are way worse off than a crackhead who can focus on everything he does, but he's high. I'm just being honest. You would do worse things than a crackhead if we're going to be quite frank. If you had the chance and opportunity to. And I'm not just talking to Christians. I'm talking to everybody, including myself. I have to sometimes tell myself to be sober-minded, not in a sense of not smoking or drinking, but I can't be driven by lust. I can't be driven by anger. I can't be driven by these things. These things will lead you to bad places. I just spent 2 years and 10 months in a bad place because I was driven by anger. And I was completely sober. But would God or ascended being say that I was sober-minded that day? No, not at all. Even though I didn't smoke, I didn't drink anything at all. That day or the day before that or the day before that or the day before that.